What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Universal Mastery. Welcome back to my public YouTube channel. What exactly are we going to be talking about in this today's video? Okay, we are going to be talking about Luciferian rebellion. Okay, what exactly does it mean to rebel in a Luciferian way? Okay, because there is a difference between just straight up rebellion and Luciferian rebellion. Okay, for those of you that are a little bit more studied when it comes to Luciferianism, or if you have personal connections and relationships to Lucifer, then you will absolutely know that an aspect of that energy and that entity has to do with rebellion. Okay, so this is exactly what I'm going to be talking about within this video. So if this is something that you're interested in learning a little bit more about, then definitely stay tuned. Okay, let me start by introducing myself. My name is Jeremiah Schwartz. I am a professional occultist. I am fully initiated in the entirety of the Kabbalistic tree. I'm studied when it comes to the 22 major arcana of the tarot deck. And I'm also studied when it comes to planetary energies in direct association with astrology. Okay? Now, with that being said, let's move into the actual meat and potatoes of the video itself. Okay, so we have the word rebellion. Okay, and actually, let me search the dictionary definition of what rebellion stands for, just so that we can all be on the same page here. Okay. Okay, so rebellion is an act of violent or open resistance to an established government or ruler. Okay, let me say that one more time. An act of violent or open resistance to an established government or ruler. And then there's a secondary definition, and that says the action or process of resisting authority, control, or convention. Okay, that one's very prominent. The act or process of resisting authority, control, or convention. Okay? So now we all know what the word rebellion represents. And clearly, there are a lot of people in our today's time that rebel against certain things. Rebellion truly has a dual aspect to it. There are many people that actually rebel things that are in their best interests. There are some people that get caught up in rebellion to such a degree where they create little to no harmony in their lifestyles. They're always fighting against something. Everything in their mind is like basically a battle. And you can imagine someone's internal thought process or internal dialogue when they're always in a state of rebellion. It's pretty, you can imagine that's pretty chaotic. So rebellion alone doesn't inherently mean a good thing. A lot of the times people hear the word rebellion and they think, yes, empowerment. Good for you. Good that you're rebelling against the system. But once again, remember what I just said. There's a lot of people that rebel for the wrong reasons. There's a lot of people that have ignorant rebellion. Okay? They're just fighting against something because truly, at the end of the day, they're bored. They feel empty. It gives them, you could even say, a false sense of purpose. I mean, truly, when we look at the structure of the political system, it's a left versus a right, and truly both sides are rebelling against the other. Now, I'm not here to tell you, what you should believe in, and I'm not here to talk politics, but at the end of the day, what I am going to tell you is the truth, and I promise you, you're not going to find spiritual power and soul evolution by getting involved with either party, okay, or getting involved with the political system itself. Okay, so that would be a form of unbeneficial rebellion. All right? Now let's look at the aspect of rebellion that's very important, because there is a very, very important aspect of rebellion. And let's also keep in mind there are a lot of people that do not rebel. There are a lot of people that just go with the flow of the system itself. I don't know if I want to say go with the flow in general, because it sounds like go with the flow of the universe, but more so go with the flow of authority around you. A lot of people are afraid to rebel, in a sense. A lot of people don't have the inner strength and the inner courage to rebel, because you could think of rebelling as sort of like a fish that's swimming upstream. It's not the easiest thing to do, but if you can do it, then you can get to the source of where the water is flowing, so to speak. So there are a large portion of people that do not rebel, okay? And clearly there's a huge portion of people that don't do it properly. Now, in regards to rebellion that is beneficial, a Luciferian rebellion. Remember, we take the word Lucifer and we break it down to its Latin root, which means light bearer. So this is essentially going to be a form of rebellion that is designed to bring conscious awareness, okay? Or we could even reverse it and say there's a certain level of conscious awareness of something that potentially is unfair or corrupt, or maybe does not have your best intent or interest in mind. Therefore, there's a rebellion that follows that, because you know you're not going to follow something that's trying to lead you down a path of destruction, or lead you down a path that is not going to ultimately serve you. Okay? So, Luciferian rebellion is extremely important. And once again, anyone who deals with the energy of Lucifer, for all of my wonderful occult practitioners that are listening right now, you know, and you should know, there is a strong influence of rebellion that comes with Lucifer. And that rebellion is extremely important, and it's extremely powerful, because what you start to realize is that clearly, as the human beings living on this planet Earth, we have a matrix. Okay, let me say that one more time. As human beings living on this Earth, we have a matrix that governs our planet, and you could almost think of it as being like a cage that holds in the animals. And in order to break out of the cage, to set yourself free, you have to go through the evolutionary process of truly setting yourself free. You have to enlighten yourself. You have to go through the pain, the challenge, and the deprogramming to break out of that matrix cage. Okay, and it's earned. It is a privilege to be able to do these things. So everyone automatically starts inside of the cage. Everyone starts inside of the matrix, locked into it. They believe it. They rely on it. They depend on it. Until you go through certain circumstances in your life, you have certain experiences, you do study, you gain certain amounts of knowledge, you obtain wisdom, and you observe, and then develop an understanding. And after you've developed some of these things, you start to see that this matrix, this cage that we're all living within, even though it may be easy to be in the cage, meaning you're going to get food that is handed to you, you're going to be told you're doing the right thing, you're going to be comforted in your decision for staying in the cage. There are people that eventually realize that, you know what? Me staying in this cage doesn't feel healthy for my soul. It doesn't feel healthy for my spirit. And to be quite honest, I see other people that seem to have broken out of that cage, and they look like they have a lot more life to them. How did they get out of the cage? How can I get out of this cage? How can I break out of this stagnant state of being locked in this matrix? How can I free myself? Okay? And this is truly where that influence and that essence of rebellion starts to come into play, where you start questioning your life experiences. You're like, you know what? I went to school for 14 years. And what did I actually learn from my teachers? What did I actually learn from the different classes that I would go to every single day? What were some of the things that I learned? Most of the times, people, when they ask that question, they say, you know what? What I learned in school, middle school, high school, is I learned basically not to do drugs. I learned what it looks like to be bullied. I learned what it looks like to see segregation in regards to different social circles and how they hang out with each other and separate from other different types of social circles. I learned about inappropriate behavior. And I learned all these things not from my teachers, not from what I was being taught in my classes, but I learned these just from going to school and observing the different students that I was around on a daily basis. Okay? So these things start to make you question, like, this system that we're all in, the schooling system, the healthcare system. And look, I'm not here to change your mind. I'm not here to plant thoughts in your head to get you to believe what I'm saying is true. Obviously, use your own intelligence. Use your own mind to decipher if some of the things that I'm talking about actually resonate with you. Okay? Because I'm just saying what I see is happening in the world around me. And I personally believe this to be what is going on. Okay? But once again, you have your own mind. You have your own willpower. You do what you do with this information that I'm sharing. You look at the healthcare system and you see how there are many, many different types of drugs that are prescribed to cover up symptoms, not necessarily get to root causes. You look at psychiatrists who oftentimes are very quick to give you a diagnosis of depression, bipolar disorder, ADHD, things of that nature, when maybe in reality, you just have a lot of trauma that you haven't learned how to process and you haven't learned how to heal. And because of that trauma, maybe it's built up a certain type of disorder. Not saying that these things aren't real, but maybe it built up a disorder because of your trauma. But if you had the tools and you knew how to get to the root of that trauma, maybe you could get rid of that disorder. And the answer to that question is yes, when it comes to the general basis of disorders, when it comes to mental illness and things of that nature. Generalize, okay, generally speaking. So once again, we look at the system and we see that there are things that are clearly corrupt. There are things that are clearly painted in a light that says, hey, this is what you should do. Hey, you should follow this. Hey, listen to this person. They know what they're talking about. But then you actually go through the process and you get to the end of the road and you feel more lost than when you started. You didn't get any healthier. You didn't get any better. Your symptoms got worse. Okay? You feel empty on the inside. You feel lost. You feel like truly you've been lied to. This happens to a lot of people. Okay? And this is where real rebellion comes into play. Where you have to recognize in life, because we live on this planet, which is a third density planet, and because there is a matrix that is a part of this planet, you have to realize that this matrix is meant to hold you in. It is a maze, and it's meant to keep you inside of that maze, but it's also designed to allow the individuals who learn how to navigate that maze to break out of the matrix. And when you break out of the matrix, now you are a free soul, you're a free spirit, and you have much more opportunity to manifest a satisfactory lifestyle in alignment with your purpose. And truly, that is what your purpose is. Anyone's purpose leads them to leaving the matrix. Let me say that one more time. Every single person's purpose leads them to leaving the cage, which is known as the matrix. So next time you ask yourself, what is my purpose? You're going to have a general perspective that whatever your purpose is, it will eventually take you out of the matrix. And that is going to require some form of rebellion, because you have to realize that when you're looking at the cage, when you're looking at the matrix, there are going to be many influences that try to pull you back in and try to hold you back in to that trapped, stagnant state of being, especially when you're in the beginning stages of leaving the matrix. Okay? And I'm telling you from personal experience, I remember when I started talking about spirituality openly and publicly for the first time, and I started being honest with my soul, I had to drop those barriers of fear that I had within myself and be literally completely transparent. This is what I felt was right for my purpose. And when I started doing that, I had many, many, many people tell me, "You're wrong. This is evil. You shouldn't believe that. Come back to church. Come back and we'll, get around us. We'll make sure you believe what you should believe." And I just noticed all these people that came out of the woodworks where none of these people actually supported me in my life. None of these people were ever there when I actually needed somebody or needed help. But as soon as I decide I'm going to start opening up about my real spirituality and opening up about what I believe truly inside of myself, with little to no filter as I share it, now these people want to come out. And now they want to say, "Hey, we love you. We want the best for you. Hey, you can't be sharing that information. You can't be sharing this type of stuff because this is wrong and this is evil and this is not good for you." And it's not that these people are bad. It's not that they're evil. It's just that they're unaware. They're still plugged into the matrix. They're still trapped within the cage. They haven't embodied rebellion, specifically Luciferian rebellion. So once again, when I started embodying rebellion and I started really seeing the world for what it actually is in a primal sense, not just how I want it to be and not how just other people say it is, because that's how they want it to be, but how is it actually designed? How is it actually structured? They say the truth hurts. And when you actually see how things run on this planet, that saying becomes a lot more real. Okay, they say money is the root of all evil. And when you get down to the bottom of these things, you will literally see there is a lot of destruction that is under a name, a title of money, that is intentionally brought to the human species. Okay, and you would think, if you think you know what evil is, you have no idea until you start really picking up on what's going on our planet. Okay, and at the end of the day, once again, you've heard me talk about it before, good and evil. I don't truly believe it. I think all of this has its role and it has its place. And if you're someone who decides to not rebel to any degree and you want to just be a part of the matrix, then that's completely fine. And that's the path that you chose. But you also need to be aware that that type of path is going to lead to you getting stuck in the wheel of samsara. It's going to lead to you getting stuck in the wheel of reincarnation. And you're going to go through a lot more suffering and a lot more pain as time goes on, because you're not going to graduate or move into the next density when you pass. And that's a part of the design. Okay, it takes a certain level of pressure to form a diamond. And eventually, after a human has been through enough adversary and pain and pressure, then they start to see what is actually happening. And they start to, in a healthy way, rebel. Okay? So that is really what Luciferian rebellion is recognizing the truth about what's going on in the world around you and standing in what you know and what you see, listening to your own intuition over what other people are trying to tell you. And this can get nuanced because there are many times where people will give you amazing advice. There are many times where people will lead you in the right direction. People will act as guides for you to help you get out of the matrix. But there are also many times where you will deal with people who are completely locked into the matrix and their goal is to pull you back in. Okay, where they will give you advice that is not in your best interest. They will tell you to do things that are not in your best interest. And it's ultimately up to you to have that self-awareness and discernment to be receptive, listen to the advice you're receiving, and then decide from observation if you're going to take action on that advice based on what your intuition tells you you should do. So it is ultimately your discernment at the end of the day. If you listen to someone that tells you to step back into your cage and you go down that path and then next thing you know you're back in the cage, now you've learned a lesson. You've learned that that type of person with that type of advice told you something that basically set you 5 to 10 steps backwards. So now you're stronger because of it, because you know you're not going to fall into that trap again. So now you can get yourself back out of the cage and continue where you left off with more wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and experience. Okay, so all of this at the end of the day is a learning lesson. There's a lot of growth that comes from being inside of a matrix and trying to work your way out of it to then get to a place of real freedom where you can exist in a matrix, but you're not of the matrix. Okay, because at the end of the day, we're all existing in the matrix. Okay, we're all inside of it, but there's a certain way of detaching from it where you can be inside of it, but not influenced by it. Rather, you can get to a position where you influence the matrix itself. Okay, and that's a whole nother topic and a whole nother level. But once again, this is why rebellion can be super, super important, especially when you're starting to develop on a soul and a spiritual level. You have to come to terms with the fact that there are forces that want you to stay stagnant. There are forces that will mislead you into making decisions that will trap you within this matrix. And oftentimes it will be guised with a smile and an arm around your neck saying, hey, I got your best interest in mind. Follow me. Hey, I care about you. Follow me. I'm a good person. I can teach you how to be a good person too. Okay? Right? Oftentimes that's how it will show up. And oftentimes, after that happens over and over and over again, and you have your own experience with it, now you start to develop an awareness, a conscious awareness of when you need to rebel. Okay? When someone tries to lead you into something very effortlessly, and you get that feeling in your gut that says, I don't know if this is good for me, Luciferian rebellion says, I understand what you're saying. I hear you. That might be the path that you chose, but that's not my path. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do that. That's not my path. Based on what I'm feeling about this circumstance, I don't think that's in my best interest. And you stand your ground and you resist. Okay? There are going to be many people that have many different beliefs, and they're going to try to put their beliefs on you. They're going to try to tell you why what they believe is true and right and how it's good for you. But at the end of the day, if someone ever is trying to convince you of something and trying to lead you into something, that is coming from a place of powerlessness. Because real power never convinces. People that have real knowledge, real wisdom, and real power in their words will never try to convince you of anything. They will state what they know. They will give you the opportunity of hearing what they have to say, but they will never force you into making a decision based on what they believe. So whenever someone does that, you can already assume they are coming from a place of powerlessness. Okay, and that can give you a lot of clarity for when those situations arise, because they will arise, and you can better resist or rebel against that energy. You can say, you know what? You're trying really hard over here to get me to believe what you want me to believe. Something tells me that you're a little bit insecure in yourself, considering the fact that you're trying so hard for me to believe what you want me to believe. Because truly, if you really knew what you were talking about, and what you were talking about gave you power, then would it really matter if I believe what you believe? Wouldn't it be better to let actions speak louder than your words? It's sort of like a salesman. You know, when you deal with a really pushy salesman, oftentimes it pushes you away. You know, I believe the best salesmen are the ones that clearly come up to you and let you know that they're selling something. They're honest. They tell you what they're doing, but then they actually have a passion for what it is that they're selling, in the sense that they can see that what they're selling could potentially offer you that value in your life, and it can actually serve you. And that type of salesman is going to give off an energy that says, you know what, I'm here to sell this, but I'm also here to recognize that I think you could actually use this product. I think it could actually serve you. So at the end of the day, I'm not attached to if you want to buy the product or not, because once again, I see that this could actually serve you, and if you want it, then you'll get it. If not, then I did my job, and I will move on and sell to somebody else that wants the service. Okay, rather than a salesperson who's like, I want to make money. I want to manipulate this person into buying my product. So I'm going to push and I'm going to push and I'm going to push, even though you may be selling a product that's actually not good for the person or not going to serve that person. There's two different types. One is in a place of power, the person who sees that there's actual value behind the products and is selling the product from that space. And then the other one is coming from a place of powerlessness, trying to manipulate the person and force them into buying something that probably isn't even meant for them. Okay, and guess who's going to thrive more? The person who is in their power. Okay, the same thing goes on in your life experience within your spiritual journey. There are going to be people that try to force their ideas, force their religion, force their beliefs on you. And literally, you can develop this patterned awareness where whenever you see that, you can sit back and you can just be receptive. You can observe. You don't need to cut them off. You don't need to argue. You can just listen and understand and recognize every time it happens, wow, this person is so lost. And they really think that they're going to be able to manipulate me in believing what they want me to believe, probably mainly because it's going to make them feel better that they got me to believe them. And you can just observe these people and you can get to a certain point where you just see how weak-minded it is and how pathetic it is. And when you get to a certain level of observation, you can actually cause psychic damage to those people because they even tried to pull you back into the matrix. Okay, so at the point that I'm at, people don't even, at this point, really try to pull me into the matrix. They don't even try to pull me back into it, mainly because I'm so aware of when someone's doing it. And with my awareness, I can channel a certain energy towards that person in regards to like, shut your mouth. I don't want to hear that. And that energy attacks them. And it lets them know and it shows them signs that they're not going to be successful trying to get me to believe what they want me to believe. And especially if what I know is true, and if I believe, let's say, the higher dimensional principles, and now I have someone trying to convince me of lower dimensional principles, the higher principles will always stand the test of time. So the universe itself will oftentimes show the person that's trying to lead me into a path of lower consciousness. It will show that type of person that they're making a mistake by trying to lead me down that path. There's a certain level of awareness that you can get to and observation on your own journey where that starts to take place. But in the beginning stages, it's a journey of self-discernment, building up self-strength, trusting the self, developing an intuition and a knowing, and literally fighting that battle of trying to be that fish swimming upstream. Okay, so be prepared for that because it will happen. And it's not that, you always need to be on alert. It's not that you always need to be fighting people, mentally speaking, or arguing, or be disharmonious. Receptivity is always key, and it will always serve you to be receptive and to listen to understand. But it's something that you can recognize. And when you recognize it and when you see it, then you can rebel properly. Okay? So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to wrap up the video. Definitely come down here and hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed the content. If you didn't enjoy the content, forget about it. It's okay. Also come down here and hit the notification bell because I post videos as often as I can, and with content like this, you absolutely do not want to be missing out. Okay? Then come down here and hit the subscribe button, because if you're not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, then I promise you are making a very big mistake, because by subscribing, you are further linking into the content itself. There really is an energetic component that goes behind that. So subscribe, okay? Now, I'm going to take your awareness to literally the most important link within the entire YouTube description itself. This is the first link at the top, okay? This is where you can join my Patreon. On my Patreon, I have an entire vault of exclusive occult content. None of this content is on my public YouTube channel, and that is for many intentional reasons, okay? I have content that is similar to this video, I have content in the form of live streams with tons of valuable information embedded within them. And then I have what is called practical content, which is me performing occult practices on camera while teaching you how to perform them yourself. Very fundamental practices in nature, okay? All of these different forms of content are going to be more advanced and more personal than what you're getting on my public YouTube channel, okay? Then as you move into tier 3 and up, you're gaining access to an entire magic training course, which I feel like would be extremely valuable, especially if you're a beginner occultist and you're looking for a structured format to follow to start developing your psychic capabilities. All right. Then as you move into tier 4, this is the top tier. This is not only just the top tier, this is the most popular tier of the Patreon. And this is what's known as the Universe B Vampire service. This is a service that I perform on the 29th of every single month on the new and the already existing participants who are all top tier. And it's designed to change their entire energetic structures and their energy bodies to be more so what I call Universe B dominant. So essentially what that means is these individuals now have an ability to exist within the darker energy areas of the multiverse itself without inherently being harmed by them, but rather developing knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and potential power from them instead. Okay? It also gives these individuals an ability to be more so receptive to their unconscious and subconscious mind, which is feminine in nature. And it gives them a psychic capability to pull in energy from dark energy and chaos in their environment to transmute into their own power and evolutionary potential. All right? This, once again, is top tier, tier number 4, first link in the YouTube description. If this is something that you want to take advantage of, definitely do so. All right. With that being said, I want to give a special shout out to everyone specifically who is a Patreon member for taking your knowledge, your practices, and your studies to that other side. Big shout out to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Now, as we move into the second link below in the YouTube description, you can't miss it. This is where you can book a very unique tarot card reading with me. In this tarot card reading, I can literally pinpoint exactly where you are on the Kabbalistic tree. I can tell you what you're feeling, experiencing, and going through in the present moment, and then I can tell you what to expect moving into your near and your long-term future as well, all based on your positioning on that Kabbalistic tree. It's a very valuable reading, and I promise you've never received a reading like it before, okay? I've done well over 750 readings at this point. I do a reading literally every single day. I've received tons of valuable feedback. If this is something you want to take advantage of, definitely do it. Second link below. And also within that same second link below, you have an option to book a one-on-one call with me. So if you have more so intimate or personal questions that you want to ask, you can book a one-on-one call with me, okay? There's also options for mentorship. If you're taking your personal journey a little bit more seriously, this would be recommended for people that are getting into occult initiation specifically and are wanting basically a guide throughout that process. I have 6-week mentorship and I also have 3-month mentorship. If any of these intrigue you and draw you in, then definitely go to that second link and you can read through all the different details about those services. Okay? We're going to leave that there. Now, as we move into the third link, this is where you can become a YouTube member. You click that third link and then it's going to take you to where you can join and become a YouTube member. As you become a YouTube member, you're getting many different types of benefits. Special shout outs during the live streams, an ability to leave a super chat during the live streams every single month. You enter into the wonderful YouTube community, but most importantly, you're gaining access to the Psychic Warfare Emoji program. So this is a sequence of emojis that I've designed myself that are based on real occult principles, and you can use them in a certain configuration, link in the name of a target of your choice, hit enter, and it actually causes psychic effects to that target. This is the most simple form of using psychic warfare on the internet platform, and there are almost 2,000 posts where individuals have used this service, and there are even people right now in this moment as I'm speaking that are taking advantage of it. If this is something that you want to take advantage of for yourself, you can definitely do so. Join and become a YouTube member at that third link below. All right, we're going to wrap that up there. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all have an amazing rest of the day or night, wherever you are. and I will see you in the near future. Peace.